Oregon prep, I think it's starting to begin. Kirby Smart obviously alluded to some of that on Saturday, and I love this time of year when you really do kind of get into not sort of preseason talk, but actual in-season talk. It sort of feels like we're there now. And the point that I made before our show began today is the Oregon game for Georgia is a great chance to sort of send that message that for all the people who are hoping for parity, for all the people who are hoping that, hey, maybe Georgia does regress just to kind of make the conversation around college football a little more interesting, I think that Georgia has a chance this 2 Saturdays from now to sort of ruin some people's fall and remind them that things haven't changed as much as you hoped that they would, and there may be some new faces and some new places, but this is essentially still Georgia against Oregon 2 weeks from now. That's sort of what I think it's about there for the Dogs. Kind of where are you at right now on, Georgia versus Oregon here coming up in a couple Saturdays?
Yeah, B.A., I'll indulge you with a Star Wars reference here. I think this is going to be Return of the Jedi, and the rebels realize, oh, wait a minute, the Death Star is operational. We're in big trouble here. Yeah. And it's a trap, to quote the great Admiral Akbar. And I think this is a Georgia team that, yes, winning the national championship was the end-all, be-all, and obviously Georgia's gone out and accomplished that. But this is what Kirby Smart was always building to. It wasn't to be a one-year team, a team where all the stars align perfectly and Georgia wins the national title. It's going to be, yeah, we lost some talent from last year, but we're still so loaded and we still developed so well. We're going to be one of the 5 best teams on a year-in, year-out basis. And, yeah, you're going to need some breaks to go your way over the course of said season, just like Georgia is last year and just like Georgia will once again need this year. But I think it's indisputable that at the start of this season that Georgia's one of the 5 and probably even 3 best teams in the country. And I think they're really eager to go out there and show, hey, yeah, we lost a lot of talent off of last year's team, but we're just as good, and it maybe in some areas, if not better this year than what we showed a year ago. And I think this Oregon team, a team that is talented, a team that could very well win the Pac-12, but a team that Georgia is, I think, a good bit better than and will be eager to show it on September 3rd in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
And not only do I think that's a good message to send to the rest of the country, and as a Georgia fan, I like the idea of doing that, Connor, I'll also acknowledge that I think the Georgia fans themselves need something from this game too, because after the Oregon game, it's a long time before Georgia has any measuring stick game whatsoever. In fact, there's a chance there isn't a measuring stick game in the rest of the regular season. That's a long time to have to wait to wonder, well, how good is my team really if they're winning a game 37-0, but should they be winning it 57-0? Like, it's one of those things where for some Georgia fans, they'll be left to wonder how good their team really is. Well, against this Oregon team, in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, if Georgia goes out there and flexes a little bit, then I think it can be a source of comfort for UGA fans as they go through what might be a little bit of a lackluster regular season just because of how big of a favorite Georgia may be on most Saturdays, that, oh yeah, I did see something week 1 that gives me an idea of how good this team really may be come December, because there may be some regular season Saturdays after the Oregon game where you don't get a lot of usable data because of just how dominant Georgia might be.
And I'll say this as well, obviously a lot of this fan base is still basking in and celebrating last year's national championship, but I think what a big win against Oregon will do will sort of reawaken them and be like, hey, last year was fantastic, an all-time year, like, can't be topped. Let's go out there, let's do it again. Let's have fun, let's dominate college football again and show that we're one of the best teams in the country, and we're going to do that against an Oregon team that is maybe the toast of the Pac-12 and a team where if things go right for them, a potential college football playoff contender. Let's say that, hey, we lost 5 first-round defensive draft picks. We lost our defensive coordinator. And we're going to come out and we're going to be just as good as we were last year in some areas. And I think the eagerness to see that, and Georgia goes out there and shows that and makes maybe a statement against Oregon there in the first game, not necessarily saying it's going to happen. But if that does, I think there's going to be a lot of excitement about what this team can do and how it can look this season, given all that 2021 team meant to so many different people.
And very quickly before I let you go, flipping it, I have to admit, this is not a game that I think should be close. If it is close, even if Georgia wins, then, Connor, that's probably a little bit – and Michael Carville, our producer, puts up my previous prediction on this that I'm calling for a Georgia shutout. But I do like the team total under for Oregon there that day. That's not a blowhardy thing to say. But nonetheless, if it is a close game, if Georgia wins but it's not exactly very impressive, this is the kind of spot where Georgia shouldn't be kicking a field goal late to win. It shouldn't be winning by 7 points. And if it does – and that's probably a little bit of a message that maybe there are some growing pains here, and that the transition from national championship year to some new look guys on defense or whatever else, then maybe there is something to to some of that kind of stuff. That if Georgia doesn't play well, you have to sort of call it what it is, which is a real missed opportunity to prove that you've turned the page.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. Georgia has a chance to go out there and make a statement in that first game there. And maybe in a way, a lot of national media folks may not be expecting. This is a 3:30 game instead of, a later kickoff. They gave that to Notre Dame, Ohio State, which is certainly understandable given the size of those two brands. But, I think so many people out there assume that, Georgia's going to take a step back this year because they won a title last year. It's the first time in 41 years. They're going to overindulge themselves and not be quite the same level of team. And I do think that Kirby Smart in particular relishes this opportunity here because he knows as he continues building this thing out and Georgia keeps going to playoffs and maybe wins another championship, 2, 3, 4, however many they do win, they're not going to have this chance to be counted as an underdog or to be counted out, so to speak, from a national perspective a whole lot longer. And I think if you're a coach, you can absolutely use that and build off of that. And so I'm really interested in seeing how this Georgia team comes out and has a chance to really make this first statement this opening week of the 2022 season against one of what I still think is the better team, one of the better teams in the country from a total standpoint in Oregon.